Hello, everyone. We're starting a new series of episodes with prominent entrepreneurs, public figures, and successful people under the title Seeds of Success. Keeping our main focus at startup studios, we want to remind that the model was born due to the years and numbers of experiments by expert and passionate entrepreneurs who sought for the most efficient model of creating ventures and bringing the best impact to the world and communities around them. So in our interviews, we will refer to these people, understanding what lays in the roots of their thoughts and ambitions, which resulted in the companies or products by which we recognize them now. And today we have our first guest, Fabrice Grinda. It is a magical coincidence that Fabrice is considered number one angel investor in the world by Forbes. So first angel in the first series of episodes of Seeds of Success for Entrepreneurs. On top of his other achievements, currently Fabrice is running FJ Labs, the startup studio and venture fund co-founded with Jose Marin. Fabrice Grinda is among the world's leading internet entrepreneurs and investors, with over 150 exits on 500 angel investments. Fabrice has served as CEO for 3 multinational companies and has an impressive track record as an early investor in Alibaba, Flexport, Delivery Hero, and few other known names. Hello, Fabrice. First of all, thank you for your time to be our guest. I have been impatiently looking forward to this conversation. I think we all have a lot to learn from you, considering your successful path from working for one of the biggest corporates to exits, then investments in the big names, and finally creating a birthplace for ventures, FJ Labs. And let's start with the interview. They say that every success starts with a dream. Fabrice, first of all, I'd like to hear if you agree with this statement. And could you also recall the ideas, dreams, or visions which you can describe as initial seeds towards the success that you have triumphed and are continuously engineering to date?
So I was built ambitious, and as a kid, I dreamt of having a huge impact on the world. And as I grew, I originally thought perhaps I should be in the political sphere, as it seemed to be the lever by which people had the most impact in the past. But even my teens realized and became disillusioned in the process, figured and realized that tech entrepreneurship especially had the ability to touch the lives of so many people. And following the footsteps of Bill Gates and Steve Jobs in the 1980s, I had the dream that I could harness the deflationary power of technology to address the challenges of our time. And if I think through the issues of the 21st century, from climate change to social injustice or inequality to a mental and physical well-being crisis, I think we have the tools at our disposal with technology to rise up to the challenge and to solve the problems of our time.
Right. So you basically confirmed the statement that actually everything started from a dream, and that's how you started building whatever you're doing now. Now let's refer to less emotional part, let's say, or maybe it is emotional for you, but more technical part of your career building. And considering that your career path it can be easily assumed that you could have become equally a top manager of a Fortune 100 or a prominent academic scholar, or perhaps take one of the leading roles in the public administration of the state. Why not, if you chose to? Instead, you went after venture building as your current journey. Why did you become an entrepreneur in the first place? And do you remember that day that you made the decision, or perhaps a conversation that happened with somebody? Could you also reflect on the factors that attracted you in venture building?
Yeah, it all started probably when I was 10 years old in 1984, when I got my first PC. And it was love at first click. We We looked at each other, and I knew that programming, building was what I was meant to be doing. I loved interacting with computers in a way that I was not as comfortable when it came to humans at that time. And in the 1980s, as a kid, 10, 11, 12, 13, I was like building BBSs, and I went to Princeton knowing I wanted to be a tech entrepreneur. So, and because I already knew how to program and I was already proficient in technology, I actually studied other things, economics and math, because I felt it explained best how the world worked. And I knew I wanted to be a tech founder. I didn't like the idea of having a boss. I liked the idea of creating out of nothing from the very get-go. I went to McKinsey at the age of 21 when I graduated from Princeton, already knowing I wanted to leave it, but I figured I was 21, shy, introverted. I built a few small companies, but nothing big. And I wanted basically to learn business. And so McKinsey for me was business school, except they paid me. But it was clear to me that my path was entrepreneurship, even as a kid. And so after 2 years, at the tender age of 23, I felt I'd learned what I needed to learn. And it was time to go and remove the training wheels and go down the path of entrepreneurship. And so in 98, I built my first company, so 23 and a half years ago. And it's been an amazing journey ever since. But it was one that I knew I wanted to take from an early stage. But you're right, the clear alternatives for me would have been, running ultimately a Fortune 500, going down the path of McKinsey, being in academia. I was fantastic in college, or being a public servant. But I realized that I think I could have more leverage and impact in the world and apply things that are near and dear to my heart and that I understand really well through the lens of technology. Not to mention, I prefer the day-to-day life of a founder where you are the master of your own destiny. And the things that at the end of the day, the outcome largely depends on the input and the work that you put in.
Here you go. Liberty in doing whatever you want, realizing your dreams and making an impact. Thank you. I knew I was gonna hear it. Thank you, Fabrice. It's really impressive. And one seeing you on stage wouldn't think that you are a techie person. I mean, sorry about saying that, but you're so professional on the stage, like, a speaker, an actor, and unless we look at your ventures that you're doing, at your success. Okay.
By the way, that came through practice. I was not inherently emotionally intelligent or empathetic, or I didn't know how to work at teams. And public speaking is not something that I was good at to begin with, but practice makes perfect. And when you're a CEO of a startup, you're a salesperson. You sell to the press, you sell to the world, you sell to the employees, you sell to investors, you sell to business partners. And as I became more this extroverted, confident business person, I realized that actually my true core essence was probably that, and that the introverted person I thought I was really a reflection of my upbringing, where when you're precocious, when you're years ahead of your peers, it doesn't put you in an environment where you're more likely to be social because you have nothing in common with them. But all of a sudden, when I was in a place where I could express myself, I came in my own, I realized, I'm actually more of this naturally eloquent public speaker, if you want, than I thought I was originally. And so entrepreneurship is also a path of self-discovery and discovering who I really was versus who I thought I was in light of the circumstances I came up with.
Wow, it's really impressive. And I guess it makes your current success even more valuable. Hearing all of this, and consistency, discipline, and ambition make you who you are. I guess there's a lot more, but thanks for opening up with your secrets. Fabrice, let's refer to FJ Labs and your activities there. I mean, what you're building there. Basically, every day in FJ Labs, you're giving birth to ventures on constant basis, and you as a founder, as an investor, are directly participating in the creation process of multiple startups annually. Is there anything specific that you pursue to result in their creation?
Well, at the end of the day, we are mission driven, right? We do want to help invest in or build startups that address the three issues of our time, which I describe as climate change, inequality of opportunity, and mental and physical well-being. And all the startups that we fund are trying to address one of these. Now, there's a different vectors for attacking these. Obviously, you take a very specific problem that is large enough and where technology can be the vector for solving it, and you go and build it. And the role we play depends. If we're helping build the company, it's finding the founders and testing product market fit and testing unit economics and raising funds and making sure it works. And if we're investing in the company, it's providing capital and advice to help them get it where they need to be, and helping bring other investors around the table to help the founders fulfill their vision.
Right, and you mentioned earlier impact, so I guess that's where you strive, right, to bring an impact and to change the world. As a what great.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, still the Silicon Valley TV show has in a way cheapened the world of like trying to make the world a better place. It's become cynical or ironic or sarcastic, whereas I actually think most founders have a true belief in the mission that they fulfill. It often comes from a place of personal need or trauma that they face, and they decided they're going to address and solve this problem for humanity. And I do think that we are mission driven from that perspective. Now, there are a lot of things beyond that, like how you go about it. We have a specialization. So we have a mission in terms of impact, but we use, for instance, marketplaces as our main approach and business model, because we find that they're capital efficient, scalable, have these powerful network effects where they can grow to very large enterprises that can impact the lives of many. And that's something that's very compelling to us and that we understand very innately. I've been both studying market design and building marketplaces for 23 years at this point.
Right. Thank you so much. Thank you especially wholeheartedly for sharing some of the backstage stories of your entrepreneurial journey. And on this final note, my last question would be probably, as a successful entrepreneur, what would be your advice to the other entrepreneurs in the pursuit of their success when spotting the right signs during their journey? I mean, how shall they identify the red flags or the green lights? Anything that can help them?
Well, first of all, I think there's a clear process for testing product market fit. And before pulling the trigger and launching, because as a founder, essentially all your eggs are in one basket, that one company that you're building, I would actually do a lot of testing. I would talk to dozens of potential customers within the buy side and the sell side. I would really do landing page analysis and try to understand your customer acquisition costs, see how that compares to your theoretical unit economics or LTV, make sure that you can recoup your customer acquisition costs in like 6 months, and you can maybe 3x your CAC in 18 months. Do a lot of work ahead of time. It'll save a lot of heartache on the way forward. That said, once you have product market fit and the market pulls you, I mean, it's beautiful and magical. It happens rarely, but what happens, you have it when you have it, when like things are moving so quickly that you're like struggling to keep it together because of the growth. Whereas if you're fighting and tackling just to get a little bit of traction, retention, et cetera, it probably means you don't have it, right? Like, and so from that perspective, go with the flow in the sense of go with things that work, throw a lot of spaghetti on the wall, and the things that stick are the ones that you should focus on.
Thank you so much for the insights, but especially for the enthusiasm. This is really motivational, and gratitude for an extremely exciting conversation. So much information and knowledge in such a short time. I believe your partners and team members are really lucky to be able to learn from you every minute. Thank you so much, Fabrice, once again for the interview.
Perfect. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.